We're here on Santa Cruz Island taking a little walk out to the point. This is kind of amazing because it became a national park in the 80s, but before that, it was a private sheep ranch 25 miles off the coast of California. What we decided to do was leave from our house in Carmel and travel south on Highway 1, stopping off at interesting places. We went through Big Sur, and then we ended up in San Simeon, where William Randolph Hearst made his amazing castle. And we decided to hike out. There was a point there, and you can see a lot of the photos I took along the way. Here's a kind of a cool area that we found, a eucalyptus grove, and I shot some pictures of Jan. It's nice to have your model with you, right? So we took those pictures, we got back in our car and headed south to Morro Bay. Now, Morro Bay, if you've read my book, Create, you might remember there's a story about me and some friends when I was in the 8th grade. A friend of mine and I climbed up this tree after we'd had a water fight. And lo and behold, at the top of my tree was a power line. And I remember thinking, well, I better make sure I don't brush against it. And that was kind of the last thought I had. I was wet from the water fight and I brushed up against, it would be like if this is the power line. Kind of stupid, but that's the way it was. I brushed up against it, bam, fell down 30 feet, hitting the branches on the way. And when I got to the bottom, I thought I was dead. And I said, Joe, I'm dead, I'm dead. He said, you're not dead, Mark. So that's good. I wasn't dead. And then shortly after that, the class trip I was on, we all got into, my teacher had a long wheelbase Land Rover, held about 9 people, and then there was I think a Volkswagen bus, and we headed off to the sand dunes in Morro Bay. And I was still a little stunned. I was kind of out of it. But my friends were jumping off the sand dune. I probably would have been jumping with them, but again, I was stunned from this electrifying experience. And I basically ended up directing them. So they were, you can see from this side frame, there's a few frames that I took before I took the main one. Took some shots from the side that weren't particularly interesting. And then I got down below them in the sand dune and they're jumping off. I actually directed them when to jump, and I pressed the shutter right at the right moment because you can see this perfect arc there. So we went back to Morro Bay a couple nights ago, and I wanted to sort of try to reenact that and get individual frames of Jan jumping. So I'm going to put those together. This time, not in one single frame. It's with the magic of Photoshop. We're going to try to piece those together and see what happens. Yesterday, we headed south to Santa Barbara, stayed overnight, and this morning we got up and got on a boat. And there's lots of shots here of the boat and the captain and traveling across again from Ventura to Santa Cruz Island, where there's no tourism here. It's a national park. We're actually on the nature preserve, which is a separate part. It's not actually part of the National Park Service. And then, of course, one of my highlights there was getting sworn in by Ranger Mita. And I'm a junior ranger after all these years. How did I miss that? Marc Silber is not a junior ranger? Well, we fixed that. I'm now a ranger. And one of the things I had to pledge was that I would visit all the national parks. I think I heard her say that. Something close to that. So I have a pledge I cannot go back on. We're going to have to go visit all the national parks and get sworn in as junior rangers all around the country. That'll be really cool. So we're out here exploring. This is a little bit of a warm-up to a project that Jan wants to do, which is to do 100 hikes on Highway 1 to celebrate the incredible beauty that we have in California specifically, but on Highway 1, and also to call attention to how we need to preserve it. And we need to really start thinking about, this is our land, we have to take care of it. We can't have people throwing stuff out of their cars and disrespecting the land. So Jan is really dedicated to that, and we're going to be following her along as a whole separate documentary coming up soon. Anyway, we'll continue on our little journey and follow along. It's interesting, this trip here to this island actually goes back to that same trip that I took in the 8th grade with my buddies. I went to the Peninsula School, which was a very creative school. And in the 8th grade, we went on a trip to try to find the condors. Well, one of the places we were considering coming was the Santa Cruz Island here, where we are today. But for some reason, it was, it was a private island at that point. It was really difficult to get on. So we were never able to make our way here. And here I am all these years later, 55 years later, finally on Santa Cruz Island. So cool to actually, find those things that you haven't been able to do, guys, and try to make them happen. I'm shooting in the middle of the day right now. It's 1:30. Not ideal to shoot. But as our friend Bob Holmes said, there's no such thing as bad lighting. There's only inappropriate lighting. And really, it's up to you to find where that good lighting is. In the case where Jan and I found this eucalyptus grove that was in open shade, but backlit, it was really cool lighting. And that was, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, super harsh, not ideal. Find the lighting, work with it. You don't have to only shoot the golden hour. I mean, I would love to be here tonight for sunset, but we're going to be back on the boat and on the mainland by then. Take advantage of whatever light you've got. Get out and shoot. One thing that's cool about a road trip, as our friend Dan Milner discussed, and actually has discussed a lot, is you can put together a story. It's your own private little documentary. But this also makes you have a beginning, middle, and end, and to visualize. That's where we get that visualization comes in. What do you want to tell? What's the story you want to tell? And in this case, I'm telling the story of a trip that actually occurred a long time ago, kind of reenacting it to some degree, not really exactly, but, hitting some of those same spots and showing what we can do now with photography and what I can do now with my photography, just telling that general story along the way. But I've got it really well visualized. I even know how I'm going to edit this and put it together so it's a cohesive story. And Dan talked about, capturing those images, but you always want to tie them together. So sometimes you have transitional images that aren't necessarily going to jump out at you, but they transition the story along. So I'm doing that as well. Those are sometimes even called snapshots, just to remember where you were. And, oh yeah, we were over there. Bob Holmes said you got to do that too. Just put it in your album, some information about where you were. Maybe it's a sign, something memorable. Like he always recommends, take pictures of signs because that will remind you, oh yeah, I was at that island, or I was at that park, or whatever. And those are all part of your documentary process. Check out this view here, you guys. There's the pier that we came in on, and there's the other end of, I'm not actually sure if that's Santa Cruz Island or another island next to it. Whatever it is, it's pretty remarkable. We still can't see the mainland. It's still all misty. 26 miles. Thank you guys for joining me on my short little road trip that Jan and I took down the coast. You can do this around your own town, your own area. We've only gone a few hours from our little town along the coast, found some cool spots, made a story out of it. Make your own. So make sure you subscribe to this video, okay, and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. Leave your comments down here. I love to hear from you guys. I try to answer every one of them. And I love it when you like, and I love it when you share with your friends for sure. So we'll see you guys really soon. Meanwhile, remember to get out and capture your own images of life. Love you guys. See you soon. Take care. Stay safe.